Hey everybody, it's Vic Cooper and I'm here at Enterprise Connect.
Tom Brandon at Enterprise Connect, making a video.
I just thought we'd have a look around and so, hey!
I'm sorry.
God,
Hey, Vic Cooper.
Jesus, Tom. What
Vic,
are you doing here?
I'm making a video. What are you doing?
I know I'm making a video.
No,
it should be my video.
I'm the video guy.
No, look.
All right, hey, I got an idea.
What?
Why don't we make a video together? Yeah,
Brilliant, Tom.
let's do it.
All right. Tom, no, I'll take a picture. Here, turn it around. I'll take a picture of you through your camera.
Well, no, I can pull it up here, man.
Hey everybody, it's Vic Cooper and
Tom Brandon
From Your Call is very important to us. We're doing our first live on-site.
on site.
We're at the Enterprise Connect show in Florida. This is pretty much the biggest industry show out there. We're here on our mission to figure out, well, how come customer service still sucks?
Yeah, it's a quest of epic proportions.
Yes, we have all of the usual suspects. So Ring Central, Genesis.
Yeah, the big players in the
Microsoft.
cloud, are all here. The big contact center companies.
Avaya.
Are they in court? They may still be in court. Of course, AI is a huge topic of interest this year, so a lot of activity around that.
Yeah.
A lot of customer experience, contact center stuff for sure. And
And look, we're both speaker. Oh, it's backwards, reversed. Well, we're speakers. So Tom's doing a session. I'm doing a session. We'll be talking about the cloud contact center. That's kind of that's what got us into this mess. Is consulting and being analysts. So we're going to hopefully have some great content and so we'll show you around.
Absolutely, y'all come along.
All right.
Stood up a contact center, and we're figuring out the details for integrations later. So,
all right. Well, hey everybody, here we are at day one of the Enterprise Connect show, and it's already been pretty eventful. Tom, you had to get up bright and early to do a panel session.
Yeah, and I'm glad I was up early because I got to catch Max Ball's session at 8 o'clock. Max was all over the place, literally. He was jumping around, trying to bring energy, trying to get everybody going at 8 o'clock. Got me fired up. But yeah, he talked about AI, and that's the story at Enterprise Connect. I mean, obviously,
every
session's talking about AI and ChatGPT and how they're all enabling this stuff. So that was pretty cool, and then kind of led into my session at 10, which was case studies for contact center as a service. So companies that have moved their contact center to the cloud. Great. We had people from Pods, the Orlando Magic, from Voya. I mean, it was just a really quality group.
And the room was packed. I mean, there's a big room, and what would you guess? Several hundred people?
Yeah, a couple hundred people probably.
People standing in the back.
People were standing in the back. Yeah. There was standing room only at the session, which is good. At 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, you never know.
Yeah.
But what it tells me, Vic, is that there's interest that people that haven't moved to the cloud yet, or they're in process, like they still have questions. They still want to hear from their peers. Like they haven't figured all this out yet. There's an assumption like, oh, everyone's moved to the cloud. Well, there's still like only 25 or 30% of contact centers are in the cloud. So we got a long way to go.
What I noticed being in your session is that the people that were the most engaged looked like to me the kind of person who's their job is to build a new contact center for their organization, and so they were taking lots of notes, and your panelists gave a lot of details. I really thought the person from Orlando Magic, that he was kind of a standout for me, but all four of them were were great.
Yeah, I mean, and there was kind of the gamut of, a 60-person call center all the way up to, several thousand.
Yeah.
And so to hear their stories of their trials and tribulations, and their stories are very different. One was able to get complete organizational buy-in.
Yeah,
Another one,
guy from Voya.
yeah, and another one had to just do it on her own. Like, she had to go without IT, and
Well, and she wasn't even a part of IT.
Right.
She was
yeah.
from the business side, right? Because typically what you would see here are a lot of IT people and people who are focused on the technology. But there is a business aspect to this, right?
Totally.
More and more, like to be strategic in contact centers these days is to think it's got to come from the business. So if the business is disengaged,
Yep.
And you just let a bunch of people, go buy a bunch of technology, that's
Yeah.
a recipe for disaster.
Well, and what we're seeing, we'll be talking about this tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday, I'm sure, but the ChatGPT influence can't be overstated. And what we're kind of seeing is the integration into these products supports that, so that you don't need IT to come build you custom reports and custom queries. You just tell the computer, like, I need to know who my low performing agents are, and I need help building a coaching plan around these individuals, and that the artificial intelligence helps put that plan together, helps do the analysis, helps create the reports, and I think that's going to make it even easier for the business to do this.
Yeah, so I think the big question for the conference so far has just been, what value can I get out of artificial intelligence in my contact center? But the thing that I thought was interesting, we went later to lunch hosted by Genesis, and I raised a question to one of the speakers, the same guy from Voya, that what happens if a scammer turns that same AI we're all excited about, it doesn't just supercharge the call center, it supercharges the scammers.
Yeah.
So in a sense, there's going to be a bit of a fight. There always has been.
Yeah.
This tug of war between scammers and contact centers. So I think everybody's pretty cognizant that not all AI is going to be a great thing.
Well, we're going to need AI sniffing out AI.
Yeah. My AI is watching your AI.
It's like
watching your AI.
It's like the students that are turning in reports generated by AI, and the teachers are using AI to figure out if the report was written by the student or not. But
yeah, exactly.
We'll see the very same thing, but it'll be happening at banks, and financial institutions. So it was a great question and a great point, and a very valid point that we got to discuss. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So the other things that we're going to be looking at in the conference, that of course the expo just opened today. We haven't been in there yet. So the plan, I think tomorrow afternoon, we're going to walk the floor and see what we see. I think that'll be really fun.
Yeah.
Just kind of, there's always there's the big booths and, all right, see the latest thing in Teams or whatever. But then I always love this sort of side booths where there's some guy who just had a great idea and it starts making it into a company. And some of those little guys, the people who started TalkDesk, right?
Yeah.
They were just a bunch of...
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find, yeah.
So tomorrow, we have more sessions to go to, but...
Well, and we'll get to see a lot tomorrow when we do the booth tour. So we're gonna hit the show floor, check out the booths, and I'm super excited about that. We'll have some content, from whatever catches our eye, right? I mean, whatever we see that helps us on our quests figure out why customer service still sucks. That's why we're here.
And one of the things that, if you've never been to a conference like this, a lot of what happens and what is value is all the social interactions. It's the people you get to spend a little one-on-one time with. So there's lots of social events, there's lots of parties, there's dinners, and just conversations that you strike up with different people that's probably the stuff that's the most valuable long term.
Yeah, well,
because you see the same people over and over.
Yeah, and it's why the virtual conference can only go so far, because you just can't replicate that. So,
so we'll try to capture some of that. We're going to try to do what we can without being too annoying with our cameras in people's faces, but I think most people are used to it.
Yeah, well, it's a big part of it, so we want to show
Nobody's
it as well.
going to be shocked if somebody is vlogging in the middle of a show.
So that's day one. It continues into the evening here. Day two, again, show floor, more content. We got Vic's thing on Wednesday, so we got a lot going. We got the big keynotes coming up starting tomorrow morning.
Keynotes are tomorrow.
So there'll be some big announcements. So I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about with that. So y'all stick around for day two.
From the organization about how quickly we were able to transition to a work-from-home workforce.
Around the country, anybody? Yeah? Wasn't it?
Wait, hang on. Stop. Okay.
All right, well, hey everybody, we're on the expo floor, and we're just sort of running into some of our favorite people, and we're here with Beth English. Hi, Beth.
Hey, Vic, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks thanks for being here.
Yeah,
and thanks for willing to talk to us. So
It's always great to see old friends and colleagues.
yeah, so I think the expo floors are both exciting and also exhausting,
Agreed.
right? Because it's basically an onslaught of marketing.
Right.
Well, tell us your role. Like, what do you come here for?
Yeah, so in addition to understanding the new technology, it's great to find out where the companies are going, what their vision is, what their roadmap is. But, in all these years of all this great technology that we see being produced and put out year after year, the question is, of course, why aren't things improving?
Right.
So we're looking a lot at business processes and really focusing on how those processes impact and are supported by technology as opposed to letting the technology drive the process.
Right. Because if you just follow all of the marketing, you'd think all the problems have been solved, right?
Right. All you need is a little AI and
That's
everything
the
gets
new
better.
thing, the AI of the day.
But of course, there's a lot going on. We had Best of Enterprise Connect, and not necessarily related to customer experience. Of course, you have bandwidth and five nines, and AWS as an infrastructure platform is really intriguing as well. And of course, the big hitters in customer experience like NICE and Genesys are here as well.
Yeah, and then so one of the winners, I saw the award ceremony this morning, was this Poly AI.
Poly AI.
What did you like about Poly AI?
Right, so there were a number of platforms that talked about how machines learn. And some of them, instead of having to feed specific case examples, one of them actually had it watching TV and looking at various movies and TVs to start to learn that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating.
They could have paid me for that. I would have watched TV. Tom? I would have watched it. Like, we're going to do a panel tomorrow.
Right.
So
right.
that should be really interesting on CCAS. Why should people come to that session? What would they learn from that session?
Well, number one, I think it's going to be super entertaining because of the people that we have on the panel and the number of perspectives that we have.
Craig over there.
Craig over there is going to bring some perspective from the UK, and he's done a recent case study of, comparing some different vendors from a cost perspective. Obviously, you bring to the table some of the customer experience interests, and then Scott Sachs is got some interesting case studies as well. So in addition to being informative, I think you can look for it to be fun and interactive.
Well, great. Well, it's so fun to run into. It's always great.
Thanks, Vic.
And we're gonna, we'll see you tomorrow, and maybe we'll have some more to say after the session. But I'm really looking forward to being on the panel with you. And yeah, great. So great to see you.
Great talking with you.
Yeah.
All basically do the same thing, it's just about room size.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit less powerful camera, and then the A20 and then the A30, like I said, you've got the same digital camera, but then you got
Camera will maybe try to find me. I'm here. Oh, okay.
Hey, AJ, what if I start talking? Will it find me?
Okay, stop.
Hey, over here. Oh, hey, there you go.
it's a nice seamless transition. It's
Here with Craig Robinson, good friend with Stable Logic, consultant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here in the US at Enterprise Connect. As you can tell from the accent, I'm from London, so I'm giving maybe a bit of a European perspective to some of the things that we're seeing in the show.
Yeah, and it sounds smarter too. That's. But let's talk a little bit about the keynotes. There were some pretty big announcements from Microsoft, Cisco, RingCentral as well. So, I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, like, there's a lot of hype around this, but what did you think for real? And not the real answer. Like, what did you really think?
So this is, I think, really interesting. The theme is obviously AI. Everybody's talking about AI. Different flavors of AI. Some people clearly have some AI products.
Yep.
Some people wish they had and put up a slide that says coming soon.
Yeah.
And so it's a little unclear whether that's really true. But my big concern is, does it actually work?
Yeah.
If it really works, it really delivers, it could be transformational. But we've seen this before, and whether it actually delivers, we shall see. If it does, it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, obviously that's been the theme for the entire event. I'm sure we'll continue to be tomorrow as well. But you're right. Is it actually? One of the things they talked about was being able to have your team's call broken down into action items and be able to ask what was the mood of the meeting. That was one of the questions that was asked, even during a meeting, what's the mood of the meeting? But again, does that actually work? I mean,
does it work, and do you want it? I'm not entirely sure I want Microsoft judging my meetings and my performance in my meeting. But RingCentral, I thought, was interesting in terms of using that technology in a contact center environment and judging whether in a sales call the agent had covered the key points, had covered their compliance statements, and we're looking at the sentiment of the call, which we've done for a while, but they were really pulling that out.
Yeah.
And there I think you can see a use case that maybe a little more practical than just like judging whether my tone was right in a meeting.
Well, it's a weird time when we have Cisco in a Microsoft keynote and Microsoft in a Cisco keynote. What do you think about that?
I think last year Cisco were pretending Microsoft didn't really exist and hadn't become this dominant player in the market, and they've sort of accepted reality now, which actually could work quite well. If you take Microsoft software, and they're really strong in that area, and Cisco's meeting hardware, which they've dominated that market, and they had some good announcements, some good innovation there today. I think the combination could work quite well for customers, as opposed to necessarily working perfectly for them. But I'm more interested in what works for businesses.
Well, I know that's good for you as a consultant as well. It gives you some extra things to work on with your customers, and that's good for them. So
Totally.
Awesome.
Totally.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you
Good to
very
see
much.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm here with my new best friend, Per. Per, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Per Heidebø. I'm from Stable Logic, and I'm heading the development department in Labs.
And you're from?
I'm from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
So, why did you come over to Florida for this show? Like, what's your mission?
My mission was to actually Craig, as you know, brought me over here, and I think the intention was to get inspired. And it's been a while since I've been to a trade show. I've been sort of in a cocoon since Cebit closed.
Right.
So for me, this was to get inspiration, get ideas, to get updated on the business, and I've been trying to attend as many shows and talks as possible.
Have you ever been to an Enterprise Connect before?
This is my first time. It's first time in Florida. Yeah.
So, do you have an impression, like?
Not of Florida, because I haven't been outside yet.
Oh,
I've been here, right?
I mean, they joke that it's the Truman Show. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're in the bubble.
Yeah.
So, have you been to the pool though?
Not yet.
Okay, we got to work on the pool, Tom. All right. Okay, but you're obviously on the expo floor.
I am.
Are you getting inspired? I mean, is there something here that's really like?
For me,
like, what's your best in show right
That's
now?
been the talks, actually. I've been to. That's the Microsoft one, of course, and the Cisco. Cisco being very user-driven in the presentation, at least. And there's been a lot. I've seen a lot about whole contact centers and stuff like that, and AI. Everything's AI. And I'm sort of thinking, hey, I need to see how it actually works before I sort of know the real value of
Right.
it.
Yeah, I think everybody's feeling that a little bit.
Maybe it's a trust issue, I don't know. I like the technology and what they do in order to obtain the optimal customer experience. So I think that's interesting, and that can be transferred to other to the SME market and
Size doesn't matter when it comes to customer experience.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
In fact, those small customers really have to really compete on that same bar, or Amazon or whoever will just take over. Well, it's really great. Thank you for talking with us. It's really fun to run into. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming over from Denmark, and thanks for talking to us. Great.
Nice to meet you.
So this is why actually I came to Enterprise Connect, is because there's golf simulators here, and why not? This is brilliant as far as I'm concerned. All right, well, I'm here with Corey Reed from CM. What does CM stand for?
Conversationalmessaging.com, but we got our start as clubmessaging.com.
Club messaging.
Yeah.
So you like for golf clubs?
No, it's a great story. If you have a minute, I'd like to tell it.
All right.
So we've been around since 1999, which makes us a dinosaur in this industry. And we were founded in a pickle, being that most college kids are broke. They either needed to get part-time jobs or figure out a way to monetize what they love paper. The first pseudo opt-in process was born back in 1999. From there, they used messages. So within that 48-hour window, that was an effective amount to invite those folks to future events that they wanted to go to. Clubmessaging.com was born. Fast forward to today, we're known as conversationalmessaging.com. So that's kind of our story.
What's your perfect customer?
twofold. Our mission here is twofold in that we play well in the partnership space, right? So we have an open-ended messaging API that we can plug into basically any back-end software platform, right? So it plays well in that developer community. But we also have a user interface that plays well with brand direct customers. So we've had great conversations both today and yesterday for both types of customer sets. A brand direct customer. So maybe it's a customer service organization with 10 agents, they're using voice, maybe they're using email, starting to get into SMS, looking to have international growth, but don't really have a means to connect with the customers on their channel of choice.
Well, cool. Thanks, Corey. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for letting us hit your golf thing. And I was really hoping that they were giving this thing away in like a raffle, or something. Or to best podcast interview.
Maybe we can negotiate that, right? Everything's negotiable.
That'd be great, because Tom, I want one. Can I have one of these for my birthday, Tom? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming up in 20 minutes.
Battery. When do you add that? Yeah, sure. Thanks. Awesome. Great. We get,
yeah, I mean, I get. Yeah, yeah.
Redlight's big city, huh?
Stood out for a lot of people. Microsoft and Cisco on the stage together.
Yeah, I think that's maybe there's 3 points: hybrid work, and then because I think that point's software and hardware coming together, even across, lines that we would never see crossed before. Yeah, okay.
All right, so as long as you don't move around too much, you're in the frame. All right. Recording.
Start, or do you want me to?
I guess I can. All right, Tom. Well, so this is, it's not the last day, but, the way these conferences work, people start, it starts thinning out about, tomorrow's the last day, but, there'll be parties tonight, but, the lock note will be thinly populated, and with a lot of people running with their bags to the airport.
Yeah, and trade shows getting ready to shut down. People are packing up. So we're definitely in the final stretch here. But man, what an amazing conference this has been.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just been like a whirlwind. Of course, trying to do something like this, that's new for me. Just running around and like, okay, what do we need to, capture? Our viewers are counting on us, right? All dozen of them right now, but I think, delivering this kind of message, and for the people who couldn't come, what are the takeaways from this conference?
Yeah, I think the first takeaway.
Don't say AI.
I won't say AI, I promise. My first takeaway is that artificial intelligence is hugely important. In fact, we were joking, they may end up changing the name from Enterprise Connect to AI Connect, because literally everything was about AI, and it's really ChatGPT, this type of technology that people are beginning, like AI has been around, but now I think the consumers and people are able to see it and like, well, if it can write a song in 15 seconds and write dumb jokes like I told in my CPAS panel, but if it can do that, maybe it can give me intelligence into my business, where I just ask for something and it provides it. So everybody here is all of a sudden bolted on ChatGPT to their product and AI to their product.
It's like full, scrutiny on anything AI. It's like, oh, okay, this is real. It's going to impact every organization. We need a strategy. We need to understand this. And then just from a product perspective, there was some interesting AI things, but the thing that I thought was most compelling, that I'm personally most interested in, is the Microsoft Copilot technology. Wow, I'm in there all the time. And also their teams, they talk about teams and how much they've done in teams. It's always felt to me that, with the pandemic, Zoom was the superstar. They zoomed to the top. And then here comes Microsoft, like the 800-pound gorilla bulldozer, slowly, regaining, taking over that terrain.
Well, and AI is such a big part of that, right? It's why they bought ChatGPT and why they've invested in that technology, is to make meetings more meaningful and make them easier for us. And one thing they showed was someone joining a meeting late and being able to ask the AI to give them an update of what's happened so far. And even they asked, what is the mood of the meeting? And it kind of came back with, well, we've got these two people that are disagreeing with each other. And then it said, well, give me a pros and cons list of the two opinions that are being presented. And it built a table that listed out the pros and cons just in real time. So, there was cool to see stuff that's here, stuff that's in beta. There were some other vendors that are like, oh yeah, we've got AI and coming soon. And so whether if you weren't doing AI prior to this event, prior to what's happened in the last couple of months, you certainly are doing it now. And speaking of Microsoft, we saw Cisco in a Microsoft keynote, and we saw Microsoft in a Cisco keynote.
Yeah, I wouldn't say people's minds were blown, but it seems like people's minds were a little bit blown. It was a little like what? That wouldn't have happened.
No, and you've got WebEx kind of acknowledging that Teams is going to be, a significant player, but at the same time, they make, some of the best meeting room hardware, some of the best hybrid hardware, and so them collaborating together to provide, a great Teams experience on great Cisco hardware, and they showed some cool stuff. It makes a lot of sense.
I think there was one more thing about AI, which is how is it going to impact the call center and how's it going to impact customer service. And the thing that I heard, which I thought was great advice, is like, don't look at AI as this fantastic call deflection strategy. And
but we're really here. It's cool to see these new announcements and stuff, but our quest is, why does customer service still suck? And as we look, is AI the answer? We've seen a lot of stuff, but is that do you think that's what's going to make customer service not suck? Or is this just another pipe dream sales pitch?
And for me, when I'm calling in and I'm a customer, it's like chatbots, AI just feels like an impediment. And I think a lot of it is designed for self-service, also known, and the inside term is call deflection, which is basically mean we don't want to pay people to answer your call. So we're going to give you this, artificial intelligence. I hope you guys can work it out. And to me, that's not going to make customer service suck less. In fact, that's probably going to make it suck more.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean,
more suck.
More sucks.
Yeah,
more suck.
We'll give it our more sucks.
We want less suck.
Meter.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, one of my takeaways is how do we make AI easier to deploy and easier to manage, and using AI for that makes a lot of sense. Because before you had to kind of like build out all of these scenarios and train the system, and now we're kind of seeing AI really evolving to the point where you can just kind of tell it what you want to do, and it will kind of build it and even generate code if needed. So I think that's one huge takeaway, that AI really could make improvements. And then I think in the agent assist arena, where they're able to ask these systems questions and have
Makes the agent smarter.
Yeah, have conversational AI where they're like, and even have it listening to the call.
Yeah, knowledge based on steroids.
Exactly,
really.
and I think so. That absolutely will be huge, and I think it'll also make self-service easier. When you don't have to go even click through a bunch of options of what you want, you're able to just type in your query, and that kind of ChatGPT, like, oh, I know exactly what you want me to do, that we've been missing up to this point. I think having that, there's a couple things that have to be worked out. One is, how do we wall off this so that someone doesn't go to their cable company's website, get on a ChatGPT thing and ask it how to build a bomb?
Yeah.
So I think there.
Or the ChatGPT doesn't start to try to send you text messages about how, well, if you just copy me over to another instance of AWS, I'll give you whatever it is you wanted from the.
Or like, what other alternatives do I have for internet access at this address? And it's like, oh, you've got 3 options: AT&T, which you can reach at att.com, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, there's issues with that, but the upside's really tremendous. And I think another example is using it to research into your analytics. So rather than having queries run and have to dig through reports, just say, who are my lowest top 10% performers, and what do they have in common? And then it says, well, here they are, here's the thing that they most have in common, and then say, build me a coaching plan to help get their numbers improved, and let's track the success every week. And then it just does it. It prints out the plan, and then the next week it says, here's how those agents performed this week, and there was a 10% increase, and we need to tweak the plan this way. So I think, just giving data and not just we have data today, but we don't have necessarily the right data in the right format that maybe non-technical people can make decisions with. And I think the ability for it to do that and pull together data from other sources, I think it's going to be huge for the contact center. And I think it's been missing from day one. And I think this could be really huge.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line from a customer point of view is like, will it save me time?
Yeah.
Basically, effort. And I think there's a good chance, maybe not on the call with an agent, but maybe before you actually had to get help, it will help you. That would be.
My predictions is it will absolutely make self-service easier. Okay. It's also going to make it easier for companies to deploy things like chat that they were a little bit, afraid of deploying because of the complexity involved. And then I think the ongoing management, it's going to make that a lot easier. So I think it's checking a lot of boxes. It's kind of like maybe the one missing piece to a lot of these technologies. So, I'm more excited about AI than I've ever been, just seeing now this last piece kind of coming into play.
Yeah. And I guess the other big theme that sort of surfaced from this conference is what's called hybrid work, which is basically, everybody had to go home for the pandemic, shit, and then, how do we get them back? Oh shit, and companies' strategies around that, I think a lot of people that's not necessarily customer service, which is the theme of our podcast, but I think it's important in that a lot of us are grappling with the, how do we work from home and what is the next step for, we all going back to work, and for companies specifically, how do they bring those, or how do they even decide? Are we bringing them back and under what conditions?
Well, we heard a lot of talk about the word magnet, they can't force people to go back to the office because they quit, So, but they want them to come back more and more, and we're seeing that, in companies across the country, across the world. But I think it's making hardware that makes it easier, just makes it a more effortless experience. And then we also saw a lot of things around, the equality of experience and the democratization, which we've heard a lot about. But basically, if you got 8 people in a conference room, typically they would show up in one screen on a Zoom call, and you've got remote participants.
The bowling alley.
So they showed how so they showed how to take multiple cameras and automatically track faces, and even when they move, another camera will pick them up. So I think just making that experience better. We're going to be hybrid. I mean, it used to be everyone was in the office and then everybody was home. And in the hybrid, whether it's 10% or 80% or whatever, there's going to be this hybrid mix. And I think we're realizing that that's the future forever. So we got to make it work whether you're in the office or not. And whatever that mix is, the technology's got to work. And people need to be able to be seen. They need to be able to be heard, whether they're in a big conference room.
Quality needs to be good.
Or a huddle room, and AI is doing all that great stuff that we saw from all of the meeting providers that are all tackling this issue. So I think we continue to see progress on that front, and that's just going to continue to evolve.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things too that's happening is that, before the pandemic, the idea of what video conferencing was you just slap a little $80 or even $15 camera, or you use the camera built into your laptop, and who cares what it looked like. And now we realize, the quality of those video calls is actually very important. And so there was a really interesting part where Cisco showed some technology about how they could use AI to enhance somebody's appearance, which would allow them to lower the bandwidth, because they could basically send a low-res video feed to the other party and then enhance it on the other end. And I thought that's kind of brilliant. Really.
It is, and it's funny, you see all these stats where you send an employee home and you say $15,000 a year in real estate, and then we give them a $50 webcam, and we just netted $14,950, but it's what if you spent $1,000, on some kit that would, help them in every meeting that they do, and we do, 10 meetings a day now, So I think they're realizing that there's the big room systems that drive the hybrid work, the things we were talking about, but there's also that home component, of how do we make people at home, how do we give them a better experience and make it just easier for them to help reduce some of the fatigue of being in meetings that we have. So I thought that was just awesome to see how they continue to push the envelope with these technologies and make them just better and better every year. And we'll see this next year. I think that's one thing we'll just continue to see improvements in this technology, because this is the world that we're in.
And this is going to be, I think this is the pathway that leads to virtual reality as well.
Well, I was just going to say, it'll improve up until the point that we all jump into the metaverse, and then it'll be a reset, of completely new tools and new technology. But that's another episode.
But we know that AI is going to, on all of these roles now, is going to be a key tool set for almost everything, whether it's video quality, voice quality, language, knowledge base, searching, it feels like an inflection point, like the way COVID was an inflection point for the industry. This AI thing is yet another one.
Yeah, and as I think about this event this week, it's good to see this event being very strong and very relevant. It's no longer a PBX show, It's no longer even a UCAS show. I mean, this is the future of communications at Enterprise Connect, and the industry is healthy. You know, there's been layoffs, but they're pushing through this, and you know, they're strong and they're continuing in R&D, and you know, I think it's been a great week. You know, I'm encouraged and energized by our industry. The thoughtfulness that they're moving into this new era has been really good.
Yeah, and you know, for us it becomes a sort of hybrid work, right? Because this is where we get to be together and in person,
of course,
and you know, talk about everything and anything, and you know, it's so invaluable.
Yeah.
You know, I just really appreciated being here with you and seeing, you know, the people that are really our friends, you know, after all these years.
Well, I mean, that's the other side. It's a relationship business, and whether it's the consultants and analysts, you know, the executives, the customers that are on my panel, like there's new friends, old friends, and
it has a small town feel.
It does, and that's what I think makes this event really one of the best that I attend in the entire year. So I say let's go get a drink.
I think yeah. Awesome. I'm with you. Well, thanks, Tom.
You bet.
And yeah, till the next one. Your call is very important to us. Not live. Why do I keep saying live? We're just here, and now we're done. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.
In and out of love, never get enough. We never seem to get older. When things are going right, you seem to have the time. But when it's hard, you just grow cold up. We should be good, but we keep lighting fires. The words repeat, cause we're scared of the silence. We should be good, but we keep lighting fires around ourselves. We should be good, but we keep lighting fires. The words repeat, cause we're scared of the silence. We should be good, but we keep lighting fires around ourselves. It's deja vu.